Yeah, let me
Yeah.
get on Facebook real quick.
I'm just saying it's fun to watch it play out on the ice.
Yeah, it's no fun for anyone to in the business at all. Like all the way down to ticket sales. If your team is losing, it's not a pleasant experience. And if you're a player, that can have some pretty significant effects on your contracts and your total earnings. So they're not in a hurry to intentionally do that. But
sometimes you're just the team in free fall, and you know, maybe you got a couple GM nudges off the cliff, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe you're unequipped to deal with the problems you've created for yourself.
Oh, sure, yeah. Like it's still just waiting for trade deadline for me, but yeah, we'll get into that.
Did you remove the?
I posted a second link.
God damn it!
Sorry.
God.
We ended up starting talking about personal things, and I'd accidentally started the stream, so I deleted that one and started again.
Which is the one?
The correct link is the one I just. Let's try that again.
Yeah. I rely on pictures. I'm not smart.
I know you're a marketing dude. I get it.
I'm not marketing. Well, yeah, I mean, advertising, but yeah, sure, whatever. I'm getting yelled at because some of my work is appearing. If you follow the Maple Leafs, you've seen my board ads. People are like, "Oh, board ads," and I'm like, "Look, dude, I agree."
Oh, do you hear that, everybody in our fan base?
There
Alex is responsible for those board ads.
No, I'm not responsible for all the board ads and none of the Sharks ones.
That's what I heard. I heard Alex.
I will tell you this much though. Hold on. I'm actually shocked at the ones that play during. So the NHL wrote us and said we're the gold standard, which made me feel good. But the NHL's got really strict rules on those ads, and the ones that are playing in the Sharks game like violate because they're based on the team. It's really weird how it works. And so, you know, if you're watching it's on channel. So like if you're watching the Maple Leafs, you're getting a different set of ads, right? Which is where mine are playing right now. And like the ones that are played during Sharks games violate every single rule. And they're really like, they kick back a lot. And they just sort of like that Toyota one with the truck that's giving everyone motion sickness. Like that's common sense not to do. And it's in their guidelines not to do it. And people just don't care. So there you go. All right. Games.
I mean, if you're having Toronto fans seeing your stuff, that's great testing because those people aren't happy. Oh, I mean, okay, maybe they're happy right now, but earlier,
yeah. Yeah, it's Toronto, Montreal. It's basically the Eastern Canadian teams that can see them.
Oh, not Vancouver.
No, I can't even. They had the NHL had to send me a video of a broadcast with it on, and I was like, thanks. All right, you guys ready to go?
I can start the recording whenever you're ready.
Let's start the recording.
All right, recording is go for launch.
All right, should have gotten water, but whatever. I'll tough it out. Hello and welcome to Circling the Cup, San Jose Sharks podcast, episode number 190. Hey, I don't know about you, but it seems like right now if you enter a contest to win Sharks tickets, you're pretty much guaranteed to win. So get on that. I'm Alex. Here with me as always, the Honorable Ben. What's up, Ben?
Dishonor for Connor.
Yeah, talk about a rough couple of weeks here. And of course, live via Starlink? Probably not with those data caps that they just put on there. It is Colin. What's up, Colin? How you doing?
No, we have civilized internet over here. Thank you.
Listen, lots of Sharks things going on. I know we didn't pod last week, although I was at the Tampa Bay Lightning game last week, and maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. But I want to talk about something kind of funny that's been going on this week in particular, and that is attendance, which we talked about this a lot in the podcast over the last couple of seasons, about how, you know, the Sharks were having season ticket renewal issues and you know, how it is a business and ultimately you want your business to do well if you are an owner of said business. And there are a lot of people who work on the ground in sales who that's a tough job, especially when the teams are bad. So when you're tanking, quote unquote, It's not good for anyone. But what was real interesting this week is that attendance was so abysmal that like it feels like ESPN avoided cutting away to show anything in the crowd. They would just cut back to Leah Hextall because there was almost no one at the tank. Now, I got to go to the Sharks-Ducks game last night, and I got to go primarily because I entered one of those ticket giveaways. And kind of jokes on the Sharks here because, you know, they send these promotions out, and the deal is you put your information in, and obviously what it means is you're going to get hounded by their season ticket salesman, and that's fine. You know, it's a business. I get it. Except I've already signed up for one of these, so you already have my data. So joke's on you. But the weird thing about it was after 2 games of what has to be some of the worst attendance I've ever seen in Sharks history, all of a sudden I win tickets. And not only do I win tickets, but when I go to brag about it to a friend, it turns out he won tickets. And not only did he win tickets, but his friend won tickets. And well, yesterday around the tank, it was pretty clear that pretty much everyone won tickets if they had signed up for this event. And, you know, I'll tell you what, having gone to the family night, which was the Tampa Bay Lightning game, got a nice little retro lunchbox. Pretty cool, actually. That game was crowded, but that's like a middle of the day Saturday game. You know, but tickets in general for the Sharks, they're still high. If you look at the secondary market, they're like $20. Sometimes you can score them free on Reddit and other areas. But it was real interesting to see just how bad that attendance was and how they decided to rectify it by basically giving away tickets. And yesterday's game for Latinx Heritage Night was pretty packed and a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. But yikes, you know, again, when you're in the position of being bad, it's not good for business. And, you know, I know that a lot of people are on that sort of tank for Bedard sort of deal here. But, you know, we were talking about this a little bit before the podcast, and Colin, thanks for bringing it back up. But, you know, if you're wondering why the Sharks seem to be playing well but not winning games, or, you know, at least starting off with a lead and then letting it crumble, and then losing in overtime, it's because the players are trying. You know, if you're a professional hockey player, your next contract hinges on your play. So you're not going to intentionally tank. And if you're a coach, same deal. You're not going to intentionally tank. And if you're a ticket salesman, you pray that they don't intentionally tank. Now, if you're a vendor at the tank, let me tell you this, it's gotten expensive. You may be okay with the tanking as long as they do free tickets and then jack up the concession prices. But the Sharks just in general from
are bad.
It's just the whole organization kind of needs to get its stuff together a little bit. And I think, you know, with the games this week, these were all winnable games. Like going back to last week, these are winnable games for the San Jose Sharks. And the fact that they're not pulling through, you know, again, great example, Tampa Bay game, right? Sharks looked like they were going to pull it through and then ended up tying it in the last couple of seconds and end up, or the Lightning tie it in the last couple of seconds and they end up losing. It's frustrating, right? The Ducks game last night, you know, very much same thing. Ben, at what point, I'm going to ask you specifically,
Oh,
I know, Colin, you can feed in on this too, but I want Ben's take specifically.
Sure.
At what point do the Sharks have to start bringing some of the AHL guys up? Because the idea that they're going to keep them down and season them, if the Sharks are going to continue losing every single game like this, there's no way you can justify not bringing at least one up and checking out the situation, right? Am I crazy on that, or what do you think?
I don't know. You know, I'm just like waving my arms around here, like I don't have
the Frog?
I don't have a good answer to that because I don't know what the fuck these guys are doing. Like, are they trying to shelter the young guys from, you know, the losing? That bringing them up to try to solve the losing doesn't help that, right?
Right. What does a sheltering do? What does a sheltering accomplish?
I fucking find, dude, like I wouldn't be doing this, so I don't fucking know. Like so
that's the weird thing to me about it. While you formulate your thought here, the weird thing to me about it is I understand to an extent I don't agree with it, but I understand people who have the logic of we'll raise the kids up together and then flip the switch next year. Now I don't think that's actually how that works out. I've never seen it actually work out that way. Maybe the Sharks are the first to make it a thing, but you're winning. You're losing a lot of close call games, and there are honestly players on this ice where there are better options on the AHL roster right now that would have gotten you wins. Like I'm going to tell you right now.
Well, hold on.
Watching him live. Nick Bonino
It's trash.
cannot skate. He cannot skate.
Let me build into this.
No, yeah,
Because here's
let
the
him go.
problem. Here's the problem with you can solve the Sharks' problems with the young guys. You have to have the coaching staff recognize which of their guys are broken and dead, and they don't. They keep putting. They had, I don't. Was it last night's game or the night before where Nieto is on the point on the power play, and the puck he can't catch the puck and off goes a goal the other direction, right? Like that suggests that our coach thinks Nieto is good, so he wouldn't even bring up the young guys to solve the actual problems of Couture is washed up, Bonino is bad, Nieto is bad, Kunin is bad, Lawrence is bad. He doesn't recognize which of these players are actually good or bad. So bringing up the young guys doesn't solve the problem because they're still going to be on the ice with fucking Matt Nieto or Nick Bonino. So like that, when I have no idea how to answer your question, it's because the coaching staff is not the solution. It doesn't know the solution, doesn't understand what the problem is. Right? You
did answer my question, and that's exactly what I was looking for. Because as this drags on, and the Sharks put themselves in the position to win games, because it's different if they're getting blown out of games, but they're starting well and they're staying in games, and in some cases, especially in the last 2 weeks, they've led the game and then they lose like right at the end. To me, again, so I'm gonna pick on Bonino here for a second, just because it's been a while since I've seen Bonino live, and I'm just going to comment on his skating alone. Everything else you want to throw out, you can knock yourself out. But skating wise, that guy is the slowest guy on the ice. It is like he's got an anchor tied around his waist. Now, based on the contributions that he makes, you mean to tell me that Bordeleau, who we saw come up and be effective last season, would, even if Bordeleau didn't put up a point, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that his speed difference over Bonino wouldn't potentially put the Sharks in a better position to win. Same with Eklund. Look, whether or not you think Eklund is ready, whatever. Nieto is not a thing. He's not a thing. So I'm curious, and Ben, I wasn't expecting you to have an answer there, but I'm curious as a fan how long the Sharks are going to go with this, because you can tell they're frustrated, right? They've been frustrated all season, but especially with these close losses. Now they might sit there and go, "Hey, well, we played a better game." But at the end of the day, if they continue playing better games, quote unquote, but still losing, they're going to have to change their plan up.
Here's the thing about this, right? So like the reason the Sharks are quote unquote playing well right now is because Carlson is playing out of his mind and riding an unsustainable shooting percentage of 22%. And also, Timo Meier got hot and Hurdle's playing well. And maybe they figured out that LeBanc should be on their wing as of last night, etc. So they've got one really good line that is super hot and one defenseman who has been playing out of his mind. And this team is doomed to go back to being super fucking boring as soon as those guys cool off. They're all hot right now. That's the only thing keeping making these games look competitive in my mind.
I could use Carlson being a little hot during shootouts, please.
Go ahead, Colin. You
he's Carlson's wrong guy. Like he's not a shootout dangler, but like Ben, you think these games are entertaining? Have you been watching any other hockey? Like any of the other hockey around the league this season?
Well, I mean, yeah.
I think these games have been entertaining.
These games have absolutely been entertaining because the Sharks are scoring goals and they're still tanking. So fuck yeah.
Okay,
Colin,
I'm just
Colin,
saying,
Colin, you
I'm just saying,
literally
it's not hot, great hockey
no,
happening out there.
Colin, you literally do not know what's going to happen minute to minute with this team right now because they will all of a
That is
sudden
true.
go hot and go up, and then all of a sudden they've lost. Like last night was bewildering as someone in the stands. I mean, you could see both breakdowns occur. You knew there would be goals. You knew they were going to tie it. You could just feel it. But also watching the game in person, I also had really good seats with the giveaway, which I want to bring back around in a second. It was just like the Sharks looked fast, and so not Bonino. They were playing well. They're getting lots of shots. It was exciting, and then so when it did collapse, it was like, what is going on? And then you had this moment of remembrance of like, oh, all right.
I mean,
we're
just
not
remember,
actually a good team.
neither are the Ducks. The Ducks are terrible.
Well, yeah,
too,
I know.
right?
Yeah,
so that's why the
Ducks
Sharks.
are
I mean,
garbage.
like, don't overthink it. Sharks versus Ducks is two very bad teams playing each other.
No, but they did. You know what? They did good again, being there in person for the Lightning game. They did well against the Lightning, considering.
I mean, anytime the Lightning woke up, they scored a goal. Like the Lightning, it was like a puppy attacking a sleeping German Shepherd who was just too lazy to actually do anything about it.
Well, I don't think so. The thing with the
Oh,
Lightning game,
come on.
the thing with the Lightning is the Sharks when they made an error, it was like the worst possible error. And this is the thing that I'm noticing about the Sharks this year in particular, is there is zero chance of a horrible error not leading to a goal. Like every single time they have made an error, and it's been an obvious error, the other team comes right in and scores. Doesn't matter how hot Reimer is any given moment. Like they're making,
sure.
they will play. They'll play. Let's say like half a good period, and then all of a sudden Nieto will do some stupid turnover. The thing that blew my mind this week, and I meant to take a note, and I can't even remember what game it was. It wasn't the Duck game. It was probably.
Is it the 2-on-1 where he passed back?
What are you on the?
Like-
So it's a short. And hold on, not just 2-on-1, not just 2-on-1, but it was short. He was shorthanded.
Yeah.
Sharks shorthanded, which tells you that there's two guys that are kind of tied up with him. There's three other, I think it's Panthers, right? Panthers behind you. So a drop pass in no way is the right move. Like if you don't have a shot, take it straight into the corner and just hold it and run it out so your guy comes back on the ice. Trying to do a drop pass to, I think it was Couture,
Yes,
to me was like the situational awareness on that play. You guys know me. I don't get angry, but I was screaming at the television. I was so riled up for the next hour at how stupid that call was, because I couldn't think of any. It's just, oh my gosh. You know they have one more guy on the ice than you. He's obviously going to be behind you in that situation.
You know what I love? You know what I absolutely love when it comes to Nieto? I love that Randy Hahn can still sound excited whenever Nieto has a puck near the net. Like you hear Hahn be like, "Oh, Nieto with the puck." You're like, "Dude, come on." It's not happening.
I don't get the Nieto thing at all this year. I mean, I didn't get it last season either. And I certainly enjoyed Nieto in his first stint because there were some fun moments and stuff. But that guy in my mind is one of the players who does not have a place on this. There's no logical reason. You can look at Lorentz, right? Which I also don't feel like has a place on this roster. And you can at least look at Lorentz's age maybe and go, well, at least he's younger. Nieto, I don't really understand what that guy offers at this point in his career, and certainly with where the Sharks are. And the sad thing is, the name that keeps coming up is Bonino, right? If you look around the hockey media, when you see them talking about the Sharks apparently and anyone is available, which by the way shouldn't be surprising. GMs are always inquiring about players all the time, so whatever. But people are like, oh well, the Sharks will probably flip Bonino at the trade deadline, and I'm like, who would take Bonino for what? Nieto, who would take Nieto for what? The only guy on the roster right now, the only two players right now that I could see having people maybe seriously inquiring into I can obviously see Carlson, although obviously the Sharks would have to retain a lot and he would have to waive. But the Sharks could certainly make a case if they want that contract off the books. They could get it off the books at this point with the way he's playing, as long as he doesn't get injured at this point.
Groin explosion.
Yeah, right. The other one would be Timo Meier, but the Timo Meier thing is pretty screwy because obviously, everyone is sort of looking at his situation as a bit of a gamble, right? The Sharks intentionally didn't try to re-sign him early because, one, they didn't really have the money to do it, but two, they also kind of wanted to see which version of Meier was the real Meier, right? Not the slump. It was the slumping one or the super hot one. And the start to this season, other than maybe the last week or so, wasn't the best start for him. And obviously, if you're going to qualify him, it's going to wind up it cost you a fortune, right? So even his trade capability, I would say, probably a little dubious. But
if you think about it, though, they could have not signed any of those free agents they picked up in the offseason and held on to Burns and then traded Burns later. And still played the same gamble with Meier. To me, the Burns flip was supposed to be, hey, look, we've got the cap now, Meier. So if you come out awesome, there's a cap room for you. And then they went and filled it up immediately. So I don't know. Yeah. It's insane.
Filling it up, that still drives me nuts. Yeah. Not because they filled it up, but the way they filled it up. Because to me, getting Burns off the book either meant money for Meier, or it meant being able to trade or do some other acquisition with that cap space that would improve the team for the next couple of years. And they didn't really do that. They burned it on guys who they're overpaying, who are not particularly good hockey players. And so all the goodwill on my side of that Burns trade evaporated. And so, again, I look at it right now. If you're the Sharks, how long can you go losing in shootout overtimes before you realize you have to change something? And obviously, the only way that you're going to be able to do that is by pulling guys up.
Well,
because it's not going to be via acquisition.
Well, I'm gonna come out in opposition of Ben and say, I think Quinn knows exactly how bad these players are, and he's placing them in these high vulnerability positions on purpose.
I don't know. I don't get that sense from his interviews at all. I do get the sense that he's been frustrated from day one with the way that the team is playing, because he's very blunt about it.
The act of a master sociopath.
I think this popped up in our chat right the other week, but I've also seen it pop up elsewhere, on Facebook and Reddit and other places, Twitter, where people are like, how much of Karlsson's resurgence is Quinn? And for me,
zero.
I don't hate Quinn or anything at this point. I don't really have a strong judgment yet, but none. Erik Karlsson's healthy. What you're saying is Erik Karlsson healthy. Now, there may be one other, and lucky, but there may be. Well, here's the thing. Ben. And I think we all know these type of people, but there are some people who don't thrive when they're surrounded by goodness. They thrive when they have to literally carry everyone else. And I'm starting to wonder if that is what Erik Karlsson is, a guy who single-handedly, more or less, dragged the Sens through the playoffs. Comes over to our team, which at that point was pretty decent. But now, the Sharks are bad. And Karlsson, good. So I wonder if there's a little bit of that going on, where he just kind of needs to be like, fine. And that's the motivation. I don't know, but I wouldn't give any of the credit to Quinn.
I haven't noticed any scheme thing that would have unlocked Karlsson. And in fact, a few weeks ago, I was talking about how they seem to be either Karlsson was cheating further up in the zone on faceoffs even, or that was the scheme. And his run of success the last week or so, I haven't seen him cheating up in the zone as much. So I feel more like he's getting lucky. He's taking the right opportunities. It's felt like he's been playing back a little bit more. And then when he gets the puck, he's not gonna pass it to fucking Jason Megna. He's gonna fucking just shoot it and hey look, it went in, because he's shooting at an unsustainable level.
Although his passing through this week has been really good.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, and he's not shooting at a higher volume really than he has before either. So it's not that. I do think actually he's expressed that he's a lot more comfortable playing with Magna than with anybody else that he's been given. And it's felt like actually, Magna is pretty okay playing opposite Karlsson.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to take into consideration player chemistry. I know it's a difficult thing to quantize, right? But at the end of the day,
well,
like there are people who can read each other better than other combinations, and that can be really important.
I mainly think Magna is not nearly as prone to trying to play up himself. And that's a big part of it, is that Karlsson knows, at least playing with Magna, that he can do crazy shit and Magna will be back. He doesn't have to worry about fucking Benning being 15 feet into the zone when the puck hops over his stick, or
there even Burns
Shebeck,
too, right?
or what have you, right? So
even Burns too, right? I mean, that was when we first got Karlsson, everyone was sort of fawning over the idea of having both those guys the blue line, but you found out very quickly, two guys that really want to drive the offense, not necessarily always the best of combinations when it comes to I don't know, a turnover and a fast break going the other direction.
Yeah.
So
that was never a good idea.
So in that vein, and getting back to your original question, the young guys are not coming up, and this team is not going to continue to go into OT. So you got that going for you, which is nice, right? Like Meier, Hertl, and Karlsson will eventually cool off, and we won't be close in games, and you won't have to worry about that anymore. So
yeah, I just feel like at some point they're gonna I don't think they're gonna bow to fan pressure or anything like that, but at some point you can't be close every game and lose every game. And even if they get blown out at the end of the day, Ben, you can't just sit there and get blown out every single week. Like, you think at some point
they don't understand why they're losing. So you can't solve a problem you don't understand, right? They don't understand that they're losing games at the margin because their marginal players are shit, right? They don't get it. They think Nieto's good. They think Bonino's good. They think Kunin's good. They think Lawrence is good. They think all of these guys are good, and they're wrong.
I think they think Lawrence is going to break out at some point, and I don't see it happening at all. His shooting is not good enough.
None of them can pass or shoot. None of these guys can pass or shoot. That's the
like
problem.
Lawrence, guys like Kunin and Lawrence can get in the right place at the right time, but then the finishing touch is where they're lacking.
Kunin's problem is
they're all missing something. That's the thing.
No, they're missing everything. This is the problem. Like, they don't, there are a lot of problems having a one-dimensional player, somebody who can only shoot or only pass, right? But they've gone full moron, and they've gone with zero-dimensional players, guys who can't pass or shoot. Largely, I think, because Quinn is trying to create a defensive hockey mindset in this team, and thinks that you can, defense wins championships or something. And the defense, to his maybe not credit, but it's not terrible. It's the mistakes that are killing them. But like, they're not giving up typically 7 goals a game or something like that, right? Which the Sharks were a lot last year. Part of that is goaltending. Part of it is structure or whatever. The problem is that at the end of the day, they keep looking for guys to step up and start scoring, but they don't have anybody who can do that.
Yeah, I would also.
Kunin could only clean up messes. Lawrence can't do shit. They are hoping that he suddenly just blossoms into something, but there's no track record to suggest that that's going to happen.
Can I point something else out, Ben?
Yeah.
Along your thinking, the thing that I noticed, at least in this last week, in particular, last week and a half, is that a lot of those really, really big bonehead mistakes that led directly to goals, they didn't start in the defensive end. A lot of them started in the offensive end, where it was just a really stupid play that led to a really stupid turnover and a fast break in the other direction, where the goalie was, very much exposed, or maybe another player got back, but they're just, there wasn't enough support there. So defensively, I don't feel like they have a good enough defensive players. I think that's part of the issue, right? You can go ahead and run a defensive scheme where you're going to, you've actually heard Quinn say this a lot if you've listened to the press conferences when he's been, frustrated and venting about the team, is the idea of like, look, like, we're if you're going to be winning games like, 2-1, then like you can't be giving up so many goals. So I agree that he's trying to get that defensive thing going, and I think he's doing an okay job at it, but he just doesn't have good defenders, period. Like Matt Benning is terrible.
Yeah, he's terrible. I mean, the only thing I would credit Matt Benning with is he's the only guy on this defensive core besides Carlson who can pass. So he does have that, at least.
Yeah, that's he does need to get the other parts going though.
Well, yeah,
to
he's
make that be
terrible. He's not a
valuable.
good defender at all. Like, but which they
Yeah.
think again, they think he is. They think
Yeah.
that Benning is good at that. I mean, Shemek is also one-dimensional in the offensive zone. At least he can shoot. I mean, that to some extent that's at least better than again Lawrence and Cunnin and and Benino and Yato, who have Zippo to give the team. I mean, there are problems up and down this lineup. Look, so Benning was clearly fully responsible for like 2 or 3 goals in one game this week, and Quinn, when asked about Benning, said not his fault, right? So Benning has formed perceptions of these players and is uncurious about
Quinn,
about
you mean?
it. What did I say?
Benning.
Quinn. No, I'm talking about Benning. But yes, Quinn has formed. Quinn excused Benning.
Yes.
Quinn has clearly, yeah.
Well, I think part of that is Quinn started the season again. Who knows behind closed doors, but in press conferences, literally saying not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. So him complimenting Benning maybe a little bit of course correction in terms of that tough love thing that I was trying didn't seem to work. Who would be fun?
I don't think so. I think he thought Benning was not the problem on those plays, and he's wrong. That's the problem. Like, look, coaches are human; they have biases, right? We've seen this with every Sharks coach. They play favorites. They misidentify, who's responsible for bad stuff and who's responsible for good stuff. They don't hold players accountable. I mean, I haven't seen anything as egregious as all of Brent Burns' mistakes being ignored by the prior 2 coaching staffs, while beating up on young people. But that's largely because they don't have any of the young guys up. Right. So God only knows what would happen once Merkley came up or what have you. So that's a problem. I think my short version of what I've learned over the first, month or so of games is that David Quinn is not a plus coach at this point, and I don't think he will be. So that's kind of where I stand.
Yeah, I'm still pretty undecided on him. I don't like the Sharks play, and I agree with you, Ben. I don't necessarily. This isn't just a Quinn thing. I don't trust the organization still, even with some of the new staff they have on there. I don't trust that they can identify things well enough. Like, that was my problem prior. It's still a problem today. Like, it was my problem with some of the signings that Greer did. So for every good move that I thought Greer did, he then equalized it with something to me that was like, why would you do that? As Colin mentioned earlier, and I think Quinn for me falls into that bucket of. I would agree.
Let me ask you both a question. Can I do this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, you're the Sharks coach.
Okay.
A week ago, you played against Zegras, and he was kind of a punk ass. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, you're about to play. The team with Zegras again. Some dipshit media person asks you about Zegras. What do you say?
I don't even respond to that.
Yeah, I just ignore it. It's like
Do you know what David Quinn said?
We're here to play a game.
No, I missed that. What did he say?
David Quinn said, "Well, maybe somebody will hold him accountable." Essentially, right? Like, we're gonna focus
Gritensity.
on Gritensity, right? The correct answer to that is one of 2 options. Like you guys said, like, why is that even a question? So you say who, or you say
the Daryl Sutter method. Who? Huh?
Or you say we're focusing on our own game, and we don't give a shit about what other players are doing. Right? Those are the correct answers. David Quinn gave the wrong answer. And again, this is why I say I have no expectation that David Quinn will ever be a plus coach for this group. He is thorough mediocrity. And that was completely predictable from what happened in New York.
Yeah. For me, jury's still out. I'm not thrilled. I'll say that much. But I'm still I don't think this roster is any good either. Do I think he's getting the best out of the roster? Probably not.
No, definitely not.
And but I mean, the
Well,
core
hold on a
question is-
second. I mean, before you say definitely not,
Well,
we got guys like Lawrence. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what Lawrence's best is, but I don't think it's very good to begin with.
No, but the core question was, is this coach, putting together the best roster from the available players? And we're saying no because he's not pulling any youth up.
That may not be
And
him, though.
Sure, it may not be him, and this is why I side with Alex, because the big thing for me was, new coach. Let's get some youth into the team. Let's see what we have in the cupboard and see what we've got to look forward to. And then we're back to business as usual with a bunch of, nothing, third, fourth, 25 to 30. Who the hell are these players? And I have to wait. I'm still waiting to see what's happening.
You have a roster. It's not very good, but you choose to put Matt Nieto on the power play.
Oh no, I think that's bad. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Okay. I've got more.
Oh yeah, that's a bad
I've got
idea.
more.
But I'm telling you, Team Tank.
You've got Mario Ferraro and you've got Shemek as either of your potential blue line guys on the power play. Who do you choose?
Wait, those are my only two choices.
Those are. Would you have Matt Benning? Would you have Matt Benning on the point? Would you have Magna on the point? I'm talking about in the current roster. You have a choice. Do you play Ferraro or you play Shemek?
I'd play Ferraro, I think.
Oof.
Yeah, I'd play Ferraro.
No, you play Shemek because at least he can shoot. Ferraro can do nothing. In my opinion, he's bad. So these, okay, you guys disagree with me. So I'm deeply saddened.
No, listen. The point.
You
the
offered
point stands,
me bad
man.
and bad.
No, no. That's the thing.
I offered you gives you nothing on the power play versus at least has a shot, right? Like that's the reality. So, but everything else, right? Like he's got Cunnin. Okay, so it's 4-on-3 in overtime. What forward do you put on the ice with your two defensemen?
Well, here, let me give you
a
better
example. He puts Cunnin
example.
on the ice.
Let me give you. Let me give you an easier example that you could use for us idiots.
Okay.
Ben.
Yes.
The shootout selection. Like that to me.
Yes.
What?
Well,
okay.
I'm going to actually quote somebody who is in our chat right now and made this point in reply to me on Twitter. Like, LeBanc has done nothing over the last couple of years, but he does still have, as the roster we have, has the highest shootout conversion percentage on the team. So he keeps running LeBanc out. I don't know that I would because I don't think the LeBanc who accrued that 40% is the same LeBanc we have anymore. But
right.
But there's at least a statistical argument to be made for that one. Why
statistics?
Why Hurdle's not getting more chances? Why you don't?
Yeah.
I mean, there are other choices you can make, and I agree with you. I wouldn't make the choices he's making.
I think I know why Hurdle's not getting more chances, because David Quinn's probably like, Hurdle, I will send you out there, as long as you stop doing fucking wraparounds. Just stop. The goalie knows you're going to do it.
The good thing though is he can't try that on the
I was
shootout.
Right.
There for a moment. I was like, that doesn't.
No. One's a punishment for the other. Hey man, knock it off.
I guess this is my point. I know you guys are gonna you're. It's probably wiser to be in your shoes and let the jury still be out. But the decisions keep accumulating that I look at one after the other.
Right.
It suggests that Quinn has no idea what he's doing and has no idea which players among the clearly, obviously, Meyer and Hurdle and Carlson are the cream of the crop, right? Even he can see that.
Yeah.
But the margins and among the rest of the dross, he is not optimizing his opportunities. I couldn't even point to a single place where he seems to be optimizing the lineup. And that is fair. Really disturbing to me.
It's fair.
Ben, what you don't understand is that Quinn and Bedard have been Tumblr buddies for months now, And Quinn is on Team Tank. He's playing the 7.5D chest or whatever the kids are into.
You know things are bad when the person the entire time that keeps reminding people that there is a lottery and you're not guaranteed, is getting angry that we're losing in overtime and shootouts because now I'm slowly getting on the train. Even
No,
though
but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Like I wish the Sharks would stop
Oh my
accruing
God.
loser points, but at least they're not winning.
Yeah, no,
but I don't want them to accumulate. If you're gonna lose.
Alex,
You know, like
Alex is on the
if you're-
train.
If you're gonna, here's the thing. Again, having just gone to 2 games that the Sharks like lost at the very end, like if you're going to lose. I'm okay. Lose. Don't tease me and take away any joy I have. Not because you played well and lost, but because you played well and you got a point that made your likelihood of getting what you need worse. It drives me nuts. But we got a bunch of games real quick. So we didn't pod last week. Apologies for that. It was just a little bit of a scheduling thing. The Sharks wound up losing to the Philadelphia Flyers 3-0. They wound up losing to the Vegas Golden Knights 4-2. They had a close one with Toronto, but won that one 4-3. And then the game that I was at, the Tampa Bay game, they lost in the final seconds over there 4-3. This week, they played Anaheim twice, Florida once. The first game against Anaheim went into a shootout. We had goals from Erik Karlsson. Well, there's a hat trick for Erik Karlsson that was realized a little bit late, which was pretty comical. There's nothing like that late recognition of a hat trick, and even the players on the ice were laughing
The
about
hat shower that comes
hat
like 5
shower
minutes
that-
later.
but it's really small because people are still unsure as to what's going on. So Karlsson, Anaheim opened up the scoring. Karlsson would score the next 2 goals in a pretty quick succession too, and that would make it 2-1. And then Anaheim would pull again, up again. It would be 3-2 right into the first. And then Meyer sort of popped up, although one of those Meyer goals was very much one of the most the oddest own goal. I've never seen a player try to clear a puck like that where they
right
just
back at the goalie.
that is a wrist. That is a really accurate. That's not like that's like a wrist shot, perfectly placed. So Timo Meyer would get credit for 2 goals in the second, and then it would be pretty close going into the third. The Sharks actually, I thought, played a reasonably good third period. Erik Karlsson would score, and that would tie up the game. There would be no goals in overtime despite some close calls. And then the Sharks just sort of lost in the shootout. This is just the way the cookie crumbled. And what really sucked about it was Erik Karlsson was the last shooter for the Sharks. So of all the guys that you were like hyped up for in that shootout, he wasn't the one to deliver. Any thoughts about this game?
No, I mean, like I said, 2 bad teams played each other. Don't overthink it.
Yes, that's fair.
Yep. Yeah, like they're so like this is a team that it must be like nice to play when you're good. And I remember playing bad Anaheim teams when the Sharks were good, and these were great games. Or those were great games. These games,
I know it's an aesthetic thing, but yesterday at the Ducks game, there was a fan wearing the old school Ducks, not the movie Mighty Ducks, but the the purple and teal. And I got to be honest with you, they got to go back to that, man. It's so much better than this orange and gold generic crap they have going on. Hey, Sharks would play another game this week. They play against the Panthers. Now they would lose this game, which sucked. Also in a shootout. So first period, Sharks would not score. Second period, Sharks would not score. Third period, hey, Timo Meyer, hey, Erik Karlsson, and Matt Benning would score. That would take them into overtime where there, again, would be some close calls, but no goals, and they would lose. A lengthy shootout, too. I think they went 8 rounds. Again, frustrating here because Timo Meyer got just completely shut out in that shootout, as did Karlsson. Again, Karlsson sort of proving that, man, he can really light it up during the game. The second you put him in a shootout, something is just not going to happen right now. Thoughts on this one?
I kind of feel like we're that team that every other team plays down to. Like all the other teams are just like, why
Yes.
why can't we play better when we're playing the Sharks? Why do we constantly play down to this team?
Oh,
And yeah.
sorry. I did have a note in the last game that I wanted to bring up. Apologies, Colin, for cutting you off there. Kakinen in that shootout was awful.
Yes.
He was way too aggressive, could not get back, and Anaheim identified it very quickly, and all they did was come up fast and then stop suddenly or slow down suddenly. And Kakinen was completely exposed because he was too far out and he wasn't backpedaling at all. And that was the difference between watching him and the way that he sort of handled shootouts and Reimer. Because Reimer in this Panther game was also starting fairly aggressive. And that's okay, right? You're trying to take away space, but you do need to be also moving back at a point. And I thought that, despite the fact that he didn't win, that wasn't really on him. Yeah. But the Anaheim game, I felt like Kakinen really lost that shootout.
Actually, kind of to the point of goalie play too. Shootout aside, I don't think either goalie has had a good game in like a week. So I would say that too is part of why they're not being able to keep the while Erik Karlsson is red hot and the forwards on the first line are playing well, the Sharks are still losing games they shouldn't. Is in part neither goalie is going to put these games on their resume. I don't think.
You gotta all be hot at the same time, guys. It's not shifts. You can't have Reimer be hot and then go, I'm taking a day off, and then Karlsson be hot. Both same time would be good. So sorry, Colin, I didn't mean to cut you off. I wanted to make that goalie note though. Did you have more you wanted to throw in on this Panthers game?
Oh no, it's just like way back when I first got to start going to Sharks game and Cal Palace and all that great stuff. You'd come and see the Sharks play because they get to see like some great team play. You get to see like the late 90s Wings or somebody. And it was a great game. You see these, these really good teams or, okay, not really good teams, but you get to see other teams play the Sharks and they don't seem so good as they used to. I feel like there's something about our team. I think it's the uniforms. I think it's those sharp, fancy looking uniforms.
Oh, they look so good in person, Colin. They look so good in person.
I can only imagine. And I think that's it. I think those uniforms just mystify the other teams, and we're just not good enough to take advantage of it.
They look so good in person. They're definitely instant classics. And if you don't like them now, you're going to find them fugly perfect later. Trust me. Although I will say it is the combination of everything, like the teal helmet and the teal pads, that really make those kind of stick out. Sharks would play another game. As I mentioned, I was there. You probably were too if you answered that email contest against the Ducks. This is a game they started playing. I don't know. In person obviously is always a little bit different than TV. You notice things you don't notice on TV and vice versa. I at least didn't have to listen to the ESPN crew for a third game in a row because yikes, that is a tough crew. But the Sharks is another game. Sharks should have won, end up not. So they get a goal pretty early from LeBanc in the first. In the second, they would get goals from Timo Meier and Kunin. In the third period, Hertl scored, and boy, was he happy to score. But then they just kind of let the second half of that period get away from them, and Anaheim would tie it. Overtime had a lot of close calls again. I do like Sharks hockey in overtime. I think they're pretty good. It's just not not getting the right bounces to go past the goalie. And then they would go into a shootout. They would lose. Now, not only would they lose, I can tell you right now, it got loud as hell when Erik Karlsson got up and was stopped again. But you could just feel the booze coming on and all the energy sucked out of the room. But at least people were in the stands, so that's good. Any thoughts on this one? Anything stick out? Watching Stolarz punching people. I can tell you right now, my seats were really low, and it was behind the Anaheim the side they were defending, and so the second Stolarz started wailing on whoever was wailing. I couldn't see while I was at the game who exactly it was. I and everyone in front of me immediately shot their head to the right to see if Reimer was coming. Not that Reimer is the type of goaltender that would do that, but the second we saw Stolarz do that, we were like, oh. And it was great. It was great. It was great because I took one of my buddies who'd never been to a Sharks game. And this is one of those Sharks games that had almost everything in it. And the atmosphere was awesome because I thought it was going to be a terrible atmosphere like it has been lately. But it was awesome. And I was like, oh my gosh, if this guy shows up in his first hockey game and he gets a goalie fight, hooked for life. Hooked for life.
I mean, okay. I I have not. When was the last good goalie fight?
Gosh.
Because
I mean,
I mean,
there's maybe one a decade. Well, and
I
probably
I,
less now
I
that like
need.
Brodeur isn't around. Right?
Yeah, I need like if Bennington could actually like fight as much as he talks shit, like sure,
Well,
but
maybe it just needs
I
an
would need.
Anaheim St. Louis game, Colin.
Listen, like Colin, listen, goaltender fights are stupid, but they're still a spectacle. They're
I mean,
stupid.
what was like the fight of all time? Waugh and Osgood wasn't that just like the crazy throwdown fight?
Brodeur won, I know for sure. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, you see a goalie punching people, and that isn't quick. You immediately, and not fast. I mean, Jonathan Quick, who just seems to do that for whatever reason, and you immediately, if your head doesn't turn to the other goalie to see, like, you're gonna let him, because again, in your head, you're going, "This is the stupidest thing in the world," but you're also out one side of your mouth going, "Are you gonna let him do that? Don't fight. That's so stupid. Are you gonna let him do that though? You're gonna let him do that?"
I
One of
mean,
the
call the penalties, like call the rule book. And yes, refs are people. Yes, it's a very fast moving game. Just
I think with the
call the rule
pads,
book.
it's like a sumo fight, just with all the pads on, is what I dig about it. And one other thing I wanted to point out about this game is the contest. A lot of people, I heard some people were able to get seats together. They gave you 2 tickets. In most cases, you could not redeem them together. So I was actually with 3 other guys, and we were all in different seats, different sections, which was pretty wacky.
Wow.
But hey,
So shark speed dating. Nice.
the joke that was going on our thread was that some intern accidentally hit reply all on the free ticket giveaway, and they just went with it. I actually think part of the reason, I think it was a bit of a tech issue, to be honest, but I also think part of the reason also was that I do think that this was massively influenced by how bad attendance was the 2 games prior, and that they had a giveaway going, and they just wanted to lure people into the tank. Because
So
I don't think they probably didn't have enough pairs of tickets together, because they didn't, they're probably planning on giving away, like, let's say 5 pairs, 10 pairs, or some small number. And when they opened it up, they were like, "Look, it's free." What are you gonna say,
yeah.
Colin?
So well, I just think it's funny, and I looked up the Waugh versus Osgood fight. So yeah, this is the one I was thinking of. But I just love the two most interesting parts of the game is a fight that didn't happen and the fact that tickets were free but scrambled.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are other great stuff. It was a good atmosphere. I'll say that much. But hey, 3 stars of the week. I'm going first. Sorry, guys, because I'm giving my stars to Carlson. All of them. Although I will say I'm going to give a little bonus star to Meyer, and a bonus star to Hurdle, especially because Hurdle just really needed a goal, and you could tell, and he got a goal. So I hope that continues. Colin, you sound like you want to go with your stars.
I was gonna I'll give my 3rd star to the NHL for actually like holding to a standard. I think
For the
yeah
Miller situation?
yeah
Hold on a
the
second. Hold on a second, though. Hold on a second. The funny thing about it, for those of you who don't know, there was a player who basically horrible bully to the point of assault, like really bad bullying. Right? There was a whole snap. It was a year ago, 2 years ago. I don't even remember.
It was 2 years ago when it came up after the Coyotes drafted him.
Right.
And then the Coyotes severed. They parted ways with him. He was like a 4th or 5th round draft pick, something like that.
Yeah.
And then he also got booted from the NCAA, as I understand it.
Yes.
And
right.
now
That's how bad the bullying was.
Well,
Which,
I mean,
you
so
should,
it was it was bullying somebody who had special needs, first of all.
Yes.
And it included getting him to lick a lollipop that had been put in a urinal.
And slammed his head
he's black.
into a
The kid,
wall.
you know,
And
so
also, yeah, it's
the
just
kid,
a terrible
the kid
situation.
they hazed. So it's kind of like worst case racist bingo with this kid.
Yeah. But the best thing about this, and I use that loosely in just a NHL best sport, dumbest league way, as you like to say, was when the Bruins signed him this week. You would read that. You would read the statements that they put out were like, "Oh God, can't believe we had to do that. We should never do that. You know, we should never do it." And it's like, so then why did you? You're full of shit. You're full of shit. And I was happy, to your point, Colin, that that Bettman kind of came in and was like, no. But like, I've never seen a press release where the team sounds like they were held at gunpoint to sign a player.
Yeah, and I also love that the nonsense was coming from a team that was doing well. Like, there's no reason to make the signing. But yeah,
totally unnecessary.
Good job, NHL. You did something not totally wrong. Second star goes to Hurdle because Hurdle, give him a star.
Like your reasoning.
I mean,
why not? Shrug.
Can I? I'm gonna interrupt you again, Colin, because I know you're gonna want to comment on this one. Where are you at right now with Couture as captain?
Oh, he's. I don't think the Sharks have had a captain in the entire time that Couture has had a C on his sweater. Couture is a great hardworking center, like second line center. He's like,
I think Ben would argue. Ben's gonna argue there. Go, keep going though.
But I mean, like, he's kind of the definition of a blue collar player. He comes in, he does his work, he does his shifts, he goes.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
He's a Trump voter, so you're right, blue collar.
But exactly. And then he probably drinks a bad beer and spouts off like nonsense. Granted, all of us spout off nonsense. It's, I'm on a podcast. I don't know. I've never liked him as a leader of this team. He never struck me as a leader. He always struck me as that really dependable player you put in to like get shifts done when the Ultra Stars were needing a rest. So
yeah, I think it's something the team sorely needs right now is better leadership.
I
don't think it's going to magically make them good. Make that clear. But I don't feel like Couture is it. I didn't really feel like Couture is it after that occurred, obviously. But no. I think especially in the last couple of weeks and after last season's body of work. No.
Exactly. No, Couture. I have been on the let's move on from Couture group for a while, for at least 2 years now, if not 4.
They missed the boat.
And well, yeah, but we've argued that the Sharks have never sold when they needed to. And to be fair, a lot of teams are bad about moving on from players when they should. But Couture just not what we need.
The Sharks are that guy at the poker table who just holds on just a little too long.
I'm in this comment and I don't like it.
he's playing they're playing 2-7 offsuit real fucking hard.
Yeah, but see
against
the
difference
is
full house.
Yeah. See, and the problem is the Sharks haven't learned like I have, where I'm just like, I'm terrible at gambling. I won't do it. I'm just going to stay away from that because I am bad at it. And
I love
lessons.
I love, Colin, that you didn't say you learned and adjusted. You just quit, which they can't do. You have one more star to give, right? One more star, and I think I know who you're going to give it to.
It's gonna go to Carlson or our goaltending, and our goaltending has actually not been that great.
I would not give it to the goaltending this week.
No, and I feel bad about that because they have been getting shelled like for years now. But no, Carlson is playing great, and he is entertaining to watch when he's playing well. It's like watching a rose dance to the wind of a shitstorm. And yeah, like, he's a great hockey player. I wish he was on a different team.
Well, Ben, that leaves you, and you've had plenty of time to think about it. No, I'm not going to forget you, even though you would love me to forget you for this portion of the podcast. Right. Who are your 3 stars?
Third star, I'm going to agree and give it to Gary Bettman for fucking the Bruins real good. It makes me very happy. Second star is Timo Meier. First star is Erik Karlsson. Any other choices are wrong.
There you go.
Yeah, I actually I'll agree with Ben on that because I mean if we play it right, Teemo's going to give us good returns.
I
Yeah.
hate you for
So,
saying that, dude.
hey, one other thing to bring up. Two things to bring up, which I find hilarious that we didn't get a chance to cover. I'm just going to make notes and maybe we talk about it next time. One, Arizona is struggling to sell out the mullet. That's not good. Hey, maybe they should move to Houston. But before you think they will, Sens are up for sale. Senators are up for sale. So I want you to keep those two things in mind because those will continue to be topics in the
Yeah.
NHL for the next couple of weeks.
Deadpool and Rob McElhenney, here they come.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be
yes.
great.
I mean, but let's face it, that would be such a great thing for Sharks fans because we get to watch all of the players who should have been on our team do well with cool ownership.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ryan Reynolds is from Vancouver, isn't he? I don't know that he's buying the Senators over there. He's got enough going on anyway. Anyway, hey, Sharks, where are they? Great question. They're last in the Pacific. They've got a total of 9 points. It's a three-way tie, though. Don't get too excited. Three-way tie with Anaheim, who's got 9 points, and Vancouver, who has 9 points.
Yes, but Anaheim has beaten them twice.
Vancouver's still trying to figure out what to do with Bo Horvat over there. Calgary is above them with 11, and then Edmonton. Hey, if you were thinking that Pacific was going to be good this year, I don't know what to tell you. Sharks this week, they got games, folks. Well, sort of. They got a couple of nights off here, then they have a back-to-back Thursday against St. Louis and Friday against the Dallas Stars. Right now, I already did the standing, so I don't know why I'll do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and close things off by saying, hey, thanks for listening. You can rate us, give us some stars, preferably 5 or 6. Not possible, but if you figure out a way to do it, do it. You can check this podcast out on the
reviews now. Thank you.
The Apple, the Apple podcast app. Don't do that. You can Android people work it out, or you can check us out on Spotify. Check us out on the web at circlingthecup.com. Ben on Twitter, at least until Elon Musk pushes him off of it, at circlingthecup.com. Again, that's mostly Ben. Well, that is Ben. And then, of course, Facebook, where we'll just take questions. We're not logging to Facebook much anymore, other than to tell you when we're podding live at facebook.com/circlingthecup. And of course, our Discord channel, where it's been awfully quiet lately, but so has the Sharks game. Guys, that concludes another week of Sharks hockey. You know what to do. Say bye-bye.
I will never pay $8 for a check mark.
Quinn is on the tank.
Bye-bye. Fun one. Sorry, I was late with the forced update there. And thanks for listening over there, Dave B. Pilot. We see you. And Teal Time Law, you as well. But all right. Sharks.
Seriously though, I'm waiting for that team to just run us over like we're not even there. Because